This morning I want to talk to you about something just a little bit different. This month has all been about talking to people who are really so far out of our normal everyday lives that we can miss them. But this morning I want to talk to you about caring for those who are near you. How do I care for the people who I have right in front of me? Many times we're so interested in what's happening around the world that we don't think about the people who are near. And it was the fall of 1976, something that many of you never even knew except in ancient history and is now being talked about in books. But Linda and I were bus workers, and we were talking about how to get the kids involved from the projects and come to church. And we had an idea. But before I talk about that idea, I want Linda to come. If we can, do we have a microphone somewhere, you guys, that we can grab? I got it, Doll? Okay. But I want to talk about for just a moment the kind of things that Linda and I went through in our minds and the reasons why we decided to serve the way that we did. Because from the moment that we actually came to Christ, our desire was to be able to qualify or to get qualified so that we could actually begin to serve other parts of God's creation. I don't know that if we didn't make the choices that we made, that we could have ever been who we are today. I'm not so sure. Because I know that when you don't serve, that which you thought that you were is only a lie. The devil doesn't mind us lying to ourselves. And so I asked Linda that she would come and she would talk to us from her perspective for just a minute about the reason why we did what we did when we first came to the Lord.
We just wanted to serve in whatever way we could, I guess. And so they needed bus workers. And we did anything. We did all kinds of things. But that was one of the things we did. And we had a lot of fun doing it. It gave us an opportunity to share the gospel. Because although some of the kids had been coming already and we were just going there on Saturday and make sure they were coming and everything, we still got to share with those parents that because they didn't know the Lord, but they wanted their kids to go to Sunday school and church. So that was great. So we got to share with all these parents and have a lot of fun with the kids. And it was just a great way to share the gospel with people.
Yeah, it really was. I remember the reason why.
Let me just say this. You know what? We did it. Well,
okay.
Because I probably won't say any more. We did it.
I know how to get her to talk. All I need to do is start talking.
All day Saturday, we went bus calling. And, like from 10 o'clock in the morning until 7 o'clock at night. And then on Sunday.
That was on a short day.
Then on Sunday, and ministering to these people, some of them may have been backslidden Christians, and we got to minister to them. And then on Sunday, we'd leave the house, I don't know, by 7 o'clock, I think at the latest, maybe earlier. And we'd get on the bus, and then we'd drive out to where, to go and pick up kids. We went from neighborhood to neighborhood picking up kids. And so...
Yeah, we really did. It was quite the opportunity. I actually got a CDL license, so I went out and got a license to drive a semi, so I could drive the church bus. So I went out to get that driver's license, that difference in my driver's license, so that I could drive the kids. Because if God's house needed the kids driven to church so that the kids could hear the gospel, because I just had gotten saved in a mental institution. And if God could reach into a mental institution to pull me out, God could reach into the projects to pull the kids out. And I didn't want them to have to go through in their minds everything that I had gone through in my mind.
And most people, you know, the younger you are, the more open you are to receiving the Lord.
Yeah, and I...
So those of you that are in children's church, yay! You don't know.
Yeah, that if you guys have served and helped with the kids, and not just because your kids were there and you wanted to find a way to be able to spy on them when they were in children's church. Because that's the reason why a lot of people work with the children. They just want to be with their kids and see what their kids are doing while they're in that class. And then when they go from the, you know, their preschool into their elementary, and then the parent actually follows the kid. They just follow the kid. And then when the child, it gets to be, you know, 13 or 14 years old and they go into the teens, then then all of a sudden what you have is you have this 55-year-old woman that wants to now go in with the teens, and she's trying to look like a teenager when she goes over to try to work with the teens.
But anyway,
because she wants to be with our kids.
What about the bus?
Hey, listen, what did I tell you?
What about the bus?
So what we did was we actually... Hey, look, I'm sorry I told on you, okay? But one day what we did was we were talking with our bus captain, because I wasn't the bus captain, I was the, you know.
We were just workers on the bus.
Yeah, we were the common folk that was in the bus ministry. We were just the gophers, and so we enjoyed that part of life. I didn't enjoy so much leading. I enjoyed kind of following. It was easier for me. And so one day we were talking about how we could be able to find some more children and to get the kids to invite more kids on for a Sunday to bring a friend. Because they knew a lot of kids that didn't know God. And so because they didn't know God,
most of them didn't know God.
Yeah, most of them didn't know God, even when we brought them to church. I'm telling you, they were something else. What a bunch of carnal kids. But every once in a while, what you do is you run into one of them that actually got saved because of what was done on that bus. So one day what we did was we actually were deciding how we could get more people to come, more kids to come and to bring their friends out of the projects. So how could we flush these kids out? So we made a decision, and the decision was that what we were going to do is we were going to have a TV personality that was actually going to come on the church bus that day. So we determined that we were going to actually become, that they were looking for, now who was it that was going to be this TV personality since we couldn't get one. So who was it going to be? And everyone's eyes began to look at me. So the decision was made that we were going to have Tony the Tiger that was going to come onto the bus. And so when Tony the Tiger came on the bus, I'm telling you what, here I was standing.
Wait. We had to get your costume together. And then we didn't. Oh, this Tony looks a whole lot better.
This Tony looks a lot better than my Tony. Here's Tony the Tiger.
Whoa.
What do you think of that? If I would have had that outfit that day, I could have done better than I did.
Right. Because we took orange and white check pajamas, and I colored all the white spots black with a magic marker.
Oh, man, I'm telling you. And I had
Tony,
my...
what have you got to say today? Do you know what Tony says?
I think I have something to say. They're great!
Good!
And that's all we ever wanted to tell the kids was how great that they were. Because the kids were great. They were really awesome.
But what did they do then? You didn't
Man,
have a
I'm telling you.
bandana.
No, I was a Baptist. So we always had ties on. The problem was that when those kids tried to find out who it was behind the mask, what I was doing,
He had a mask on.
because I didn't want them to see it was me. So with my hand, they were trying to rip this off. So I had my hand trying to keep them from ripping off my mask. So they're out there trying to rip off my mask. And then they started hanging on my tie. They beat me up. Those kids actually, when they found out that their great was not on the bus and it was just me
But
with
if he
some
looked like this, it might have made a difference.
with some makeshift PJs that turned out to be yellow and checked, pajamas that now Linda had spent all night trying to make sure that people were that she was actually painting them the way that they should. Then they knew that it was me, and it was just bad because they felt like we tricked them. But we gave them a number of Twinkies and things like that so that they could, that we would make them feel better.
And we did get a lot more kids on the bus that day.
Yeah,
than
we
normally
did. There were a lot of kids, but that meant that there were more kids to beat me up. But man, we had a packed out bus, and it was so much fun, and we were able to take the kids to church, and kids got saved, and it was just really, really wonderful that God would give us that opportunity, because we made the decision that no matter what it took, no matter what any of it took, I was only interested in making sure that kids were able to hear the gospel. Because you see, thanks, Tony. You can sit, my darling.
Woohoo, Tony!
Tony, nice tail, Tony, nice tail.
You're great!
People care many times for people that are all over the world. But they don't necessarily care for people that they see or that they talk to or they're involved with every day. When Jesus said in Acts chapter 1, verse number 8, he said, "But you shall receive power. After that, the Holy Ghost has come upon you. And you shall be witnesses of me, both in Jerusalem." But many times what happens is that Jerusalem ends up being the neglected part of it. People are always interested in someone that they can minister to who's over there. But do they attempt to be as sensitive to the Spirit when the people are sitting right next to them? Because we spend so much time thinking about ministry to other people in the world, we've forgotten about those who are the nearest to us. The ones that are near you are reluctant to speak. They see your stress. They see your burdens, and they see your schedule, and they say, well, it just might be too hard for them to minister to me, so I think I'll just let it go. People who are near you begin to feel unimportant to you. They don't feel as though that you really care about them or you love them as much as you love others. They end up believing that they're an interruption to your life. They're not really part of your life. So one of the things that's really important is that you study those who are nearest to you. Study them. Because there's pain and there's need on every row. There's pain and there's need with the people that are the closest to you. There's need and there's pain at every house and in every relationship. So here are 5 things I want you to remember in ministering to those who are the nearest to you. Not just the ones that are far away. Number 1, those who minister for you will at times need ministry from you. Many times what happens is that we don't think about those who minister for us. We get so busy doing what's important to us that we overlook those that do the most for us. If one thing could ever be angersome to me, it would be that the people that are the closest to you are the ones that are the most neglected by you. The ones that give to you the most are the ones that you appreciate the least. The ones that help you the most are the ones that you may help the least. In the book of 1 Peter chapter 4, verse number 10, the Bible tells us that just as each one of us has received a gift, use it to serve one another as good stewards of the varied grace of God. Number two, here's the second thing I want you to know about ministering to those who are the nearest to you. Make people more important than yourself. Make God's creation, make what needs to happen more important than what you think needs to happen for you. I can tell you that it's so difficult to face off with people that are selfish, that they're self-absorbed, that they think about what they need. They don't think about what others need. They're sensitive to people who are over there. It's like going on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or whatever and having someone who has just freshly gone down the halls of divorce, who begins to talk about how great it is to be able to serve others, when my thought immediately goes to the fact if you would have served others, you wouldn't have gone through the divorce. But now, all of a sudden, every human that could ever serve is now called into a place where they need to serve you because of the difficulties that you now have just faced. Because people don't help the people that are the closest to them. In Philippians 2:3, the Bible says, instead of being motivated by selfish ambition or vanity, each one of you should, in humility, be moved to treat one another as more important than himself. Number 3. Those that are the most valuable to you are the ones most usually ignored by you. This is something that you need to know, because they're quiet. There are many times that people would never, ever ask for any help from you. You need to be very, very sensitive about what the needs of other people who are near you what do they really need? What does it really mean? Because they're quiet. They're just not, they may not necessarily be reachers. There are many people in your life that they don't know how to reach out for help. Or they would never dare ever ask anything. They think, well, you know, if God wants you to know, He'll tell you. Well, why did God give you a mouth? So that you couldn't say what you needed? You couldn't say what you wanted? People live their lives with absolutely unmet expectations because they don't speak. If you're already not getting what you need, then the worst thing that could ever happen is if you asked for it and someone told you no, then the result would be the same because you didn't get it. So the people are not reachers because they don't know how to ask. People that are in your life, they're not usually manipulators. They just don't know how to reach out to you. So those that are the nearest to you are the ones that are most usually ignored by you. Don't ignore them. They're the people that God gave you to love and to care for, not just so that you could be cared for. Value them, because it's the only value that you get out of life. Well, yeah, but the people in my environment aren't really what they need to be. Then what you need to do is find yourself a family that you can unite to. Don't live without. Make sure you get what you need. God built you in a particular way. He never built you for disappointment. Number 4. Those nearest to you will rarely reveal their deepest hurts and needs because they care for you too much. They may think, well, what I need isn't important. It's what you need that's so important. And then lastly, number 5. Those that are nearest to you must be the first to receive your love. They need to receive your understanding. And they need to also partake of your blessings. One of the things that we do here, it's something that's new, something that I just have become a part of. And you'll see it on our website if you go there. But it's what's called Charity Motors. Charity Motors, if you could put that up for me. Charity Motors is actually a place where what you get to do is you get to donate your car. It's very interesting, and we've got a video that we want to show you about it. Take a look at this. Oh, well, I've got this car that what I want to do is I want to give away. And there are always people who are in need. That's not a real challenge. But one of the challenges there is that many times if what you do is that you continually give into an individual's life, they don't really become any better until you teach them how to be able to live it out. And so in the situation that we have with Charity Motors, it's this, is that when a person comes to be able to give their automobile, that individual gets the full write-off of the value of their car as something that was donated. A lot of times what happens is that when people give cars away, they don't have any kind of benefit to it whatsoever. But if you give or if you donate your car, let's say to us through Charity Motors, then what happens is this, is that the people who actually then get the automobile get it for a very, very low price. And then also the organization benefits from it just as well because of them working together with Charity Motors. But that's one way that we help people that are the closest to us. Never minimize the needs of the people that are near you. Never think that people don't have those kinds of hurts that they won't even speak about. Always remember that the most difficult place in your life is also a place that many other people are occupying at this time, because there's no temptation taken you but such as is common to man. It's common. And if you're interested in becoming part of Charity Motors, or if you've got a vehicle that you want to give to Charity Motors, there'll be someone out at the table this morning for you to be able to do so. Or if you want to just email us or get a hold of us on the city, you can do that just as well if you would like to know more. And we'll actually tell you all the things that you need to know about those things. Did you learn something this morning? Did you learn something? Isn't God The idea of today has to do with that grace that we spoke about. How that your heart is in everything you do. Not just your head. It's not just happenstance. But it's something that's part of the grace of God. Not just to you, but also from you to other people.